In today's video, we will learn how we can use Meta's latest Meta's latest Llama model, which is 3.2, in our laptop and get a chatbot running. The reason for using this particular example with 3.2 because it is a newest model of Llama series and it is a lightweight model designed specifically to run on the edge devices. You can see it is usually a 1 to 3 billion parameter. And if you're looking for only text-based model, it will give you a pretty good performance at par with leading edge closed source model like Cloud 3. And in many cases, if you're looking for, say, doing a code generation or anything, or just for a hobby or something, you can actually use this model in your laptop and you don't need GPU for this case. And you can run it on a Raspberry Pi or any smaller device as well, just for running on the edge. So let's get started. So in order to run this model in your own laptop, you will need a few things. First, you need to make sure you have a Docker installed in your laptop because that is how we will be running all these models. And it is pretty quick. Maybe it will couple of minutes. We'll be up and running. So so I have written a detailed um, GitHub blog on this one so that it helps you go through step by step. So this is a step one. I'll create more options for this. You can see if you scroll through the blog. So first one we'll be doing is running on your local laptop and on Windows using Windows for Linux system. And remember, this setting will change a little bit based on what if you're using on a native Windows or Windows for Linux. I prefer Windows for Linux, but that's up to you. You can use on Windows as well. So first, I will go ahead and make sure you have installed Docker Desktop. So Docker Desktop is pretty straightforward. You go and click and download and install engine, and you can see here. Okay, once you have installed Docker Desktop, you should see something like this, and make sure by default is usually enabled that WSL based engine is also enabled. It is always by default, just to be sure. And also to make sure that you are able to run sudo docker ps from WSL and from Windows simple docker ps. So if these commands are running without an issue, now you know your Docker is configured properly. Next step would be just simply go to this URL. I'll post in the bottom in the description. So first step we did that. Next thing I'm going to do is I will go ahead and install Ollama. So what is Ollama before I even begin? So Ollama is a LLM rendering framework platform, I can say. What they do is they allow you to run any LLM inferencing without a lot of work. If assume you are not a developer or you don't want to log into Hugging Face and you just want to run quick some models, it is very nice and easy to use. So I usually prefer for my all inferencing projects. So next step I'm going to do is I'm going to go and copy and paste. This is simple Docker command you can find from here also. I just copy pasted here for my convenience. So I go ahead and paste. So when I do it first time, you can see it's downloading the image and it will take maybe a couple of seconds to a minute depending on upon your internet speed. So while it's downloading, you can see this time I'm only downloading the Docker image. It is the application I'm downloading. I have not even started downloading the model. So there are two-step process. First, you download the Llama Docker container and run it. And once the Docker container is up and running, next thing what you do, you actually download the model. In this case, I will be using llama 3.2. By the way, you can choose any of these models, Pi, Mistral, Gamma 3, and these are all equally good model. But for this example purpose, we are using llama 3.2 1 billion parameter. Why 1 billion parameter? Because it is lightest weight and it runs very fast, and you do not need a GPU for this. However, if you want a better performance, then of course GPU always helps with the performance. So next time I'm going to do is I will go ahead and copy and paste this one. So this one, what it does, see now it's downloading 1.1 billion parameter. You can usually it is pretty fast, and you can see it is downloaded, it's already rendering. So to test it, if my model is actually running, I can say, hey, some any random question, how are you? So if you ask a question, you can see it is quickly responding. You can see the inference is so fast, it is writing pretty quickly. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to say bye, because I want to illustrate an example how you can use a web interface, chatbot, not a command line interface. So in order to service this command line interface into a web UI interface, we will be using another application called OpenWebUI. It is again an open source application. It's amazing, and all documentation is here. You can go and find out. However, I have also copy pasted some of the easy instructions here, what to expect, because when I was setting it up on my laptop, specifically with Windows WSL, I had some networking issues, and I figured out how to use the bridge interface to actually get it working. So let's get started. So now I will go follow, copy and paste this particular example. And you can see here I have given Ollama base URL. So if I go dig deep into the command, what I'm doing docker run, I'm using a bridge interface and also exposing the port 8080. This is the default port of OpenWebUI. And if you go back in Ollama, see, I'm exposing the port 11434. This is the Ollama default port. And then I'm mounting the storage and I'm giving Ollama API, and then it is pretty much the whole Docker command. So I'll go ahead and paste it here. So you can see based on your internet speed, it could be pretty fast. And this usually takes once you downloaded everything, and if there are no issues, it should take couple of, I would say maybe 30 or 40 seconds to come up, because it is a web interface. It takes some time to come up. And also depending upon your PC, how fast and powerful your PC is. If you're using entry level computer, then it might take a little longer. So while it is downloading, so I was just explaining about these Docker commands. In this case, see, I have passed GPU all, because my laptop has a GPU, NVIDIA graphics card. If your card doesn't have, if your laptop doesn't have it, that's okay. So how do you know? And if I go back in my, if I go back in my Docker desktop, and you can see it's already started showing. See, Ollama is already up. It is says in use, and as this one is now downloading, this particular one. So now you see it has all downloaded. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly check if they are all running. If I do docker ps, I can see both of my containers are running, they are healthy state, and both are port forwarding. So to access, directly access the, say if I want to use the Ollama, so I can go to my example and I can type here localhost. If I do localhost this, so you can see if I do 11433, it says Ollama is running. It means my Ollama is running. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this 8080, and you can see here is auth, because I have already installed it. That's why it's showing auth failure. However, if you do it for first time, you can actually click the sign up button, and you can actually give any name, username, password, doesn't really matter, and it just needs for authentication purpose. And this email ID doesn't have to be valid, and it is not stored anywhere else other than your laptop, so it's fine to use it. So I've already used a sample username and password. I will go ahead and log in. So I've logged in here, and you can see right now, and here, this is another issue I face. You can see when I go to the select model, I don't see my model here, because the problem I was facing is because the way when Docker and WSL routing is work, it doesn't really use a flat networking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to settings, and I go to admin setting, and I go to connections, and here you can see the IP what was given. So I can try. So next thing I'm going to do is that command I have also shared. I need to check the IP address of the Ollama pod. So I can just copy paste this one, and you can see this is my IP 0.2 IP. So I go and put this IP here in my this one 0.2, and I save it. In the moment when I save, I go to new chat, I click, and you can see immediately pops up. It shows two. I think this is their inbuilt model, Code Llama by OpenWebUI, and this is our model which we just downloaded, which is 1 billion. If I click here, now this particular model has been selected, and now I can just do it. I can just prompt anything, and you can see this this request is being served right from your laptop right now, and you can actually ask anything. Example, I go to chat gpt a lot of time to write a code, so I can also ask anything. Give me steps to install Ollama on laptop, and pretty much exactly what I have in the GitHub repo, same thing you can actually is giving. Let me ask, give me examples using Docker. You can see it's giving you the full example. So that was one example of how show how you can actually use llama 3.2 in your laptop to run any a simple chatbot. Thank you for watching. If you have any question, feel free to leave comment.